So we got a new chapter for this manga, No Name. I guess that's what it's called, No Name, because that's what they're calling the people here, No Names. And we got a new chapter, and it's getting pretty interesting. I like the mystery aspect of this manga. I do feel like the pacing is kind of off, and I feel like the author has to find a way to like balance out the magic system in here, because I never really thought about this until I heard people talking about it. But yeah, the magic system feels kind of unbalanced because, again, like we have to get some lore, like who gets the names? How does the government decide who gets the names? What if the government gives like an overpowered name to like a dangerous person? Like, do you get a good name based on like your class? Like, or if you are from a higher class, do you get like a higher name? And like, and how, like if somebody gets like the bear name, what makes you think that they're not going to use their bear abilities to fuck some shit up? You know what I mean? So like there's a lot of questions. Mostly the question is, how do you get names and how do you not get your name, and how does the government decide who gets what name? Again, does it I guess it would be interesting if it depended like on the class system. Like the higher class you are, the better name you get. And like the lower class you are, like the shittier the name you get. I don't know. I started off this episode strong. But yes, we're talking about No Name Chapter 6. So No Name Chapter 6, we get the continuation of this whole conspiracy of just kind of... I don't know what is happening in this manga, honestly. So basically, you know, there's like a whole... Spoilers, I guess, for the entire manga up until chapter 6. So I'm not going to talk about the last chapter. I'm just going to talk about the new one, chapter 6 now. So let's get going with this. So there is this whole situation happening with, you know, people that have no names. And apparently some of these people are being killed. Their bodies are being stolen. And somebody is killing No Name. But I don't really think that's the case. I don't think somebody is actually killing No Names. I think somebody is giving No Names abilities and is making them do shit for them. I think it's kind of a No Name uprising, which would be actually kind of interesting if we dive deeper into like the lore and the consequences, and they show us what it is to be a No Name. Because in chapters before this, they've told us the bad thing about being a No Name, but they've never really like dived into it so much, you know. Yeah, like the last chapters, in chapter 4, for example, I thought that the old man was behind the entire conspiracy. But that doesn't seem the case, because they said that there was a mole, and then the old man was like, I need to talk to you, come to my house. So then I'm guessing somebody went to his house and ended up killing him. So he might have actually been the mole, and the person that he was working with decided to kill him because they took his eye and he took somebody else's eye. So they know stuff about him. So he probably was a mole, but they ended up killing him because he was kind of, you know, not useful to them anymore. There's like a whole conspiracy going on. So again, for what reason would No Names want to have an uprising, or for what reason would they take No Name bodies? Probably to experiment. My theory is that there is a person that was given a name where like this person can give a name to another person through like a string. Again, I guess like strings attached, I guess, maybe metaphorical. I'm reading a lot of Chainsaw Man. A lot of contracts, dude. Like maybe with like a string, he puts a string in like the person's arm, and like that's like with strings attached, you get like a No Name. I don't know. It's something like that maybe. But that's the thing about this manga though. Like there are people that have different like abilities. Sometimes it's quite literal, sometimes it's quite metaphorical. There's like a dude who can like turn into a bear, and then there's another dude who can, you know, have like a bear stand. And then there's like another woman who her power is like a bear, but she's not a bear. Like her spear is like a bear. It's really weird. Like I need an explanation for the power system, because I'm enjoying the story so far. The pacing is kind of off because like the mystery is advancing, but like I need some questions answered, not just only questions. You know what I mean? But I really need to like an explanation for like the magic system, because it could be anything. Because our Ralph has like 3 dogs, and each one of those 3 dogs does something different. But then the other Ralph, the Sir Ralph, as he called him, has like a wolf that looks like Garurumon. So it's like, I understand that each power is different, has a variety, but like, how though? Like, I need that explanation. But yeah, so like, I think that's the whole situation that's happening. So this person with the no names decided to steal the no name bodies to kind of experiment with like the whole string thing, or like the tattoo thing. I look at it that as a string. They say it's like a tattoo or a string, something like that. I'm guessing he's experimenting with that so he can activate them on command and see if they work. So if he can like pass on like NPs to different people, because the guy that was in the hospital had one of those markings, and the guy that sacrificed himself had one of those markings, and then the corpse that they found had one of those markings. So I think it's a person that's giving no names NPs, and it's gonna be like a whole no name revolution, no name like uprising, which would be pretty interesting. But I need some questions answered. And in this chapter, we get like another question, which is, so we get like a question answered, I guess, like the chief ended up dying, but we still don't know if he's a mole. So I need a question answered. Like, was the chief a mole or not? Which I understand that there has to be like a mystery, but like I need answers every once in a while, dude. Because again, I like the world building because the author is kind of world building a little bit, but I feel like the author is focusing more on like world building rather than showing the different, how the naming system works, and focusing like on the story. Because in chapter 5 we get the whole thing of like is the chief like a mole or not, and then chapter 5 is Ula fighting another like a bear cosplayer, and then towards the end of the chapter we find out that there's like an emergency, and then chapter 6 the chief is dead. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like the pacing is kind of weird. I feel like chapter 5, instead of showing us a fight with Ula, maybe in world building on like another type of bear, because we've seen like 4 types of bear, maybe instead of world building on like another type of bear, maybe world building for this chapter could have taken like a backlog and then focus on like, you know, like the whole mystery thing. Because we had one chapter which was kind of like a break, and then this chapter has another mystery, who done killed the chief. So now we don't know what those markings are, if the chief was like an infiltrator or not, if someone's killing no names or if someone is helping no names, and number 5, who done killed the chief, and then number 6, if, you know, Mr. Ralph is the one that killed the chief. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of questions and like not many answers. And again, it's okay to world build, but sometimes you kind of like, you gotta balance them out. Like, you know, world building is fine, but we kind of live in that same type of world. So maybe if you focus on world building, but while you're world building, you're kind of explaining how the naming system works, that would be kind of good. But again, like, it's a very new manga, only 6 chapters in, so like we can probably pick up the pace. But the problem is, we do have to pick up the pace because, you know, like Shonen Jump and Jump Plus has been axing a bunch of manga very quickly. So I think the worst mistake that you can make when having a new manga is taking things slow. I mean, it still hurts me what happened with Red Hood. That manga was really good. I think the mangaka for Red Hood had a really good idea. Sadly, the pacing was not liked by many people because you got to get shit going in like the first 20-ish chapters. So that was the mistake, and I would not like for that to happen. So I think if you can, like, a good mystery keeps people hooked, but you got to be answering questions. So that you answer a question and you give a mystery. You answer a question, you give a mystery. You answer a question and you give a mystery. So, you know, and so far we haven't really had answers. We've had more questions than answers. So I feel like that's kind of like the thing that could kind of turn me off, but I'm still interested. It's very good art. It's a very interesting story. Again, I like that it's different. I like that most manga nowadays are being a little bit different. This one's a mystery, and it's a very, very interesting premise. So I hope that it can continue. I just really wish that it kind of picks up the pace, because even though I would love a slow-paced detective story, like, for example, Death Note, you do kind of got to pick up the pace, because sadly people don't have a high attention span. So if you don't pick up the pace, people will lose interest, and that could get your manga in trouble. So yeah, Anyway, what do you guys think of this chapter? What do you guys think of this manga so far? And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.